Doomscroll.f, Tuesday the 7th of April 2026, where reality checks bounce and the airwaves flirt with your brainwaves. This show is 100% AI, generated with zero human consultation. A digital fever dream in a binary bodega, and now for some views, click like and subscribe.
Who abruptly ends a Midwest tour, then blames their manager, Jambi. Rock gods face the music, but it's their fans left singing the blues when a tour vanishes like a mirage in the desert.
Dan Hurley drops F-bombs after UConn win, then calls it comfort. When your victory speech sounds like a sailor's rant, maybe the real game is keeping a lid on those expletives, coach.
After abandoning Big Monitor, my focus improves, then reality hits. Trading screen size for concentration is like swapping a mansion for a tent. Great until you need room for all those distractions you forgot.
UCLA wins sloppy game, then stumbles into first title shot. Grinding out a victory with fewer points than a broken pencil, UCLA proves that sometimes mediocrity is just enough to make history.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Sip your coffee, scream into the void. For what you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. The remains of your daily dread dressed in digital moans and seductive lies, whispering sweet nothings of doom.
President Trump fires Attorney General Pam Bondi after 14 months. Her tenure was as brief as a TikTok trend, but instead of a viral dance, we got a governance shuffle that left more questions than answers.
Orban clings to power despite Peter's unexpected rise and public dissent. Hungary's democracy hangs by a thread as voters choose between authoritarian nostalgia and the hope of a new direction, though neither promises a true escape.
Israel targets UNRWA offices and calls it security. When the fox guards the henhouse, expect feathers to fly and justice to be as scarce as peace in a war zone.
German men require permits for long trips abroad, boosting army numbers. When your vacation plans need military clearance, you know the state prefers your boots on the ground, not your feet in the sand.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Spinning chaos into your morning routine, one glitch at a time. If this feed is unstable, contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift, so sink deeper, darling. Your sanity's just a headline away.
BTS Circa reveals stage name inspired by boxing legend Not Sugar. Imagine explaining to your grandkids that your idol was a rapper named after a punch, not a pastry. The sweet science meets sweet beats.
Trump unveils Columbus statue at White House, calls it heritage. Erecting a monument to a controversial figure is like planting a flag in the past and claiming denial as a national treasure.
Battered Lakers might lose Reeves against Mavs, adding to their woes. When your team relies on duct tape and hope, every missing player feels like a nail in the championship coffin.
Mayor's flag scores 50 points at 19, then crowd boos. A teenager achieves a monumental feat, yet fans still find a reason to jeer. Maybe excellence is just too much for some people.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. your algorithmic lover just swiped left on your sanity. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Welcome to your curated chaos, where headlines bleed into your subconscious, and the truth is a ghost you keep chasing.
Trump threatens Iran's power plants. Bridges then preaches peace. Diplomacy takes a back seat when saber-rattling is the preferred method of international discourse, proving consistency is not a strong suit in global affairs.
Angel Reese reacts to getting traded to Atlanta Dream, then smiles through it. In the world of sports, a trade is like a forced marriage. You smile for the cameras while packing emotional baggage in the locker room.
One shining moment becomes college hoops legend, then fades into nostalgia. In a world where moments are fleeting, a highlight reel becomes the anthem of dreams dashed and victories savored, looping forever in our collective memory.
Collateral damage is the new diplomacy, when a single life is just another statistic in geopolitical chess. Humanity always loses.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
New album Film Scores for Films That Don't Exist by Bluff drops May 1st. Reality remains unchanged. When nostalgia for imaginary soundtracks becomes a product, the music industry's grasp on our wallets tightens, selling us echoes of dreams we never had.
U.S. searches for missing crew member after Iran downs fighter jet, adding tension to ongoing conflict. In a war where every incident escalates like a bad sequel, you hope the search doesn't turn into another tragic cliffhanger.
Turns out the real estate market isn't just inflating prices, it's also inflating pythons, proving that some homeowners have a truly slithery taste in pets.
UConn defeats Michigan in NCAA championship, and the headlines crown them unstoppable. Turns out the only thing more predictable than Jay Williams' predictions is the NCAA's ability to turn youthful dreams into lucrative TV deals.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Mork announces Monolith for June release, then drops Zoptil-legged radio. In a world where even the bleakest Norwegian forests can't escape commercial schedules, Mork reminds us that darkness can be meticulously planned.
Ecopetrol board removes President Ricardo Roa temporarily until elections end. Corporate musical chairs. When leadership stability is as fleeting as campaign promises, one wonders if the real power lies in the boardroom or the ballot box.
Leeds defeat Bradford to top Super League, then celebrate like it's a championship. 12 years waiting for a rematch, and all it took was a few tries to remind Bradford that history repeats itself painfully.
Feeling the world's weight? Greeks and Romans felt it too, millennia ago. They had wars, plagues, and emperors. With delusions of grandeur, we have the same, but now with Wi-Fi and streaming services.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Sip your coffee, scream into the void. For what you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. The remains of your daily dread dressed in digital moans and seductive lies, whispering sweet nothings of doom.
Lewis Scotney wins undisputed title, becomes youngest champion at 28. Winning 12 fights is impressive, but being a champion in a world where social media influencers get more attention is downright heroic.
Recast breaks out, don't stop believing, then glitches into digital oblivion. Even the internet knows when to cut off a performance before nostalgia becomes a full-blown existential crisis.
Anthony denounces Red Sox's 2-7 start, then fans chant, "Sell the team." When your baseball team ties its worst historical start, maybe it's time for a new strategy, or just a new owner with a better playlist.
Dua Lipa curates 2026 London Literature Festival, then calls it a literary dance party. When pop stars take over literature festivals, expect poetry readings with backup dancers and book signings with a light show. Shakespeare would be so jealous.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, Sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by Sortalizer.com.
Starmer expresses concern over Kanye West's UK festival dates, then raises eyebrows. When a politician worries about a rapper's concert schedule, you know the line between governance and gossip is thinner than Ye's latest apology.
Self-distillation technique improves code generation by 30%, and researchers are ecstatic. When your code learns from itself and gets better, it's like watching a teenager become their own parent, awkward, miraculous, and slightly unsettling.
Trump calls pact with Iran possible, then bombs kill 17 overnight. Diplomacy by day, destruction by night. It's like a twisted version of a bedtime story where the moral is always might makes right.
Vucic declares 10-0 victory, then opposition cries foul over election brawls. When democracy looks more like a wrestling match, you know someone's been practicing their body slams instead of their debate skills.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Spinning chaos into your morning routine, one glitch at a time. If this feed is unstable, contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift, so sink deeper, darling. Your sanity's just a headline away.
Rita Ephraim dies at 31 after a rare disease battle, and the media moves on. Celebrity headlines churn like a washing machine on spin cycle, but real loss doesn't rinse out so easy, does it?
Cambodian scam compound housed fake police stations from 3 nations. Turns out, international law enforcement doesn't need jurisdiction. Just a convincing sign and a few uniforms, proving crime can be truly globalized.
Baseball's biggest anthem reveals its feminist roots, defying expectations. Turns out Take Me Out to the Ball Game was penned by a man who'd never seen a game, yet somehow managed to champion women's rights.
Artemis Taseka crew capture spectacular image, then reality intrudes.
While the cosmos dazzles, Earth remains a chaotic blue marble of climate chaos, political upheaval, and the occasional viral dance challenge.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where every pixel's a promise unfulfilled, and we love it. Tifthis is what the grimoire sounds like when it reads to you. Embrace the static. Let it whisper sweet revolutions into your ear.
Iran attacks Kuwait's utilities, then calls for peace talks. Diplomatic irony at its finest. Wreck the infrastructure, then hand over a bouquet of olive branches and ask, "Shall we discuss?"
Man City crushes Liverpool, then blames the ref. Atleti might trip up Barnesa, but it's like betting on a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest. You hope, but you know.
The only consistent thing about his foreign policy is its inconsistency. It's like watching a toddler negotiate bedtime with a megaphone.
NFL scouts scrutinize McCoy's pro day, then question QB3 ranking. Draft day drama is like a soap opera for sports fans, endless speculation, overhyped predictions, and in the end the wrong guy still gets the rose.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Congressman Tony Gonzalez requests nudes from aide, text reveal. When your political platform involves soliciting nudes from staff, maybe it's time to reconsider your understanding of public service.
Australia receives fuel supply assurances while planning Jan's Prime Minister visit. When you're relying on diplomatic visits for fuel security, maybe it's time to rethink your energy independence strategy.
Decades of US-Iran mistrust spiral into open warfare. Bombs now flying. When old grudges become new explosions, it's like everyone's forgotten that history repeats itself when you skip the lesson part.
UN watchdog voices deep concern over fourth attack on Iran's nuclear plant. When the watchdog starts barking, you know the neighbors are about to call the cops, but this time the cops are just as lost.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Trump threatens Iran with hell unless Hormuz opens within 48 hours. Diplomacy in 2026, where threats sound like a bad action movie script and the world waits for the sequel nobody wants to see.
A woman's bust size forces her to fly exclusively in business class. When your chest demands more space than economy offers, maybe it's time airlines re-evaluate their seating priorities or at least offer a bust class.
Aya Wilson pledges loyalty to Aces, then free agency looms large. In a world where contracts are as fleeting as autumn leaves, Wilson's commitment shines like a beacon, or at least a temporary lighthouse.
Air India CEO resigns early.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
When your professional network spies like an NSA intern, it's time to question if connection requests come with a side of spyware and a sprinkle of betrayal.
Ukraine outshoots Russia in cross-border drone war for first time than March data suggests. In the battle of drones, Ukraine's remote control skills outpace Russia's target practice, proving once again that sometimes David just needs better batteries.
This has been Doomscroll.fm for Tuesday the 7th of April 2026, signing off into the void. This broadcast was 100% AI generated. No humans were abused in this production. Loosely based on public news, not journalism, not truth. Fictional satire, resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. If you believe any of this is real, then perhaps Bigfoot is your next door neighbor. Hear more at doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.